She wants to stay in a neighborhood. I want to build. Who's going to win that argument?
I'm going to lean towards Jeannie, and I'm going to tell you why. Building, not as easy as it used to be. I mean, years ago, you had all the big lenders, Chase and a few other lenders, where if I had a client that called in and said, hey, we're looking to build, all right, we've got a construction loan, here's what you need to do, get your plans and specs, get everything priced out, and then these lenders would have pretty much all-in-one type loans where you can buy the land, do the construction loan.
You can't do that anymore?
Not that you can't, but they're they're much fewer sources available on the market right now in order to do a build and construction. And
because usually you could get the construction loan and it flipped to a takeout at some point, right?
Correct. But a lot of times too, what are you going to do with the land? Are you going to buy it in cash? Are you going to have to use other people's money to buy the land?
Well, I haven't gotten there yet.
So there's a lot of factors involved. And then when you're talking about construction loans, and again, I've been out of that game for a long time. I mean, I did a construction loan on my house, so and probably 4 or 5 other construction loans over the years, so I'm familiar with how they work. At the point when I was doing it, you had to have at least 25% of the total cost in cash.
Yeah, that's okay. I think we could probably figure that part out, or the land's free and clear or something like that, right?
Yeah, and then just make sure that if you end up deciding to do it, you don't do it in a boom where you get all of your estimated costs and then go over budget by 200%.
I would know nothing about that. We did a remodel of our bedroom one year for $150,000. It's bedroom, bath, and a whole big deal. And it ended up being $1.2 million by the time it was done. You might recall that.
And what did it start at as far as the bid? I mean,
$150,000.
Yeah.
Well, no, because we ended up doing the whole house.
Yeah.
And that was really stupid. Can I say that?
Uh-huh.
But
You're an idiot.
yeah, I was an idiot. That house burnt down a few years later when I decided to sell it. It was a lovely home, but it burnt to the ground in the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got all the money out of it, thankfully. So we sold it at like the opportune time. I was really lucky on that one because right after we sold it, the whole market collapsed.
So that was probably in 07.
Yeah, but then I bought high.
Yeah.
That always happens to me. In either event, the Federal Reserve, they're itching to raise interest rates.
Well, it's interesting. It's almost like we're at a Las Vegas table because about a month or two ago, they were putting out odds.
Yeah.
So the odds a month or two ago was maybe 20-25%. And now I'm hearing all the way up to 85%, that based on the economic news that's been coming out over the last month or so, that we're going to, with a very, very high probability, see a Fed interest rate hike.
Here's what concerns me. Our gross domestic product growth rate last year was 1.6%. Really dismal 8 years after President Obama was elected to office. And yes, he inherited a nightmare, but you would think with 8 years and trillions of dollars of spending and all the stuff that was implemented, you could get beyond a couple of percentage points in growth. So does it not frighten you that if the Fed starts going a little too crazy here and raising interest rates, that's going to dampen growth even more?
Well, I'm going to deal here just in the housing market. So certainly this is what we've seen, because we've seen not only the Fed's already raised rates, and remember, and what's real important is that people get an idea of Feds are raising interest rates and mortgage rates are going to go up, and they can. A lot of times mortgage rates will go up prior to the Feds moving the rates that they move on the kind of the fear of what might be happening in the economy. But when the Feds raise interest rates, they're raising short-term rates. They're not raising mortgage rates. The Fed fund rate, the discount rate, what the Feds loan money out, what the banks borrow money overnight. What those rates affect immediately will be prime.
So credit cards and so forth.
So you're looking at your credit cards will go up. Just as important now for people in the housing market is those that have equity lines.
Yeah, tied to T-bills or whatever, right?
Most of them are tied to prime. And those rates will go up 0.25%. So you're going to see your equity line interest rates and payments go up, especially if you are now in the phase where you're paying both principal and interest. If you have an existing adjustable rate mortgage, depending upon the adjustable indice that you're on, the most common one today is the 1-year LIBOR. It's not going to move up the same amount. It's not directly tied to it, but we will see the adjustable indexes that everybody's mortgages are based on that have adjustables go up as well. So if you've got both a first and a line of credit, you may see a difference of $100, $200, $300 more per month on your mortgage payment based on what you owe on those particular types of loans that you have.
So what are you recommending? Are you telling people to dump their line of credit, term it out with some kind of a fixed 30-year, or how are you dealing with that?
A lot of it, especially if, and here's another thing that's really interesting, because lines of credit pretty much died for a long period of time.
Yeah, sure they did.
Since 2008, there are more people applying for equity lines right now, which are fine. You're going to get a higher interest rate. But most people that have equity lines have lines that have either gone to the fully amortized phase or getting close to it. So even though the rates are fairly low now and they're going up, their payment has doubled or tripled. So it's a perfect time right now, if you've got a line of credit, if you have equity in your property, to potentially look at merging both the first and the line of credit.
All right, Steve Aledort at loanfinancialplanner.com. Check this dude out, man. He is the best when it comes to financing a home, a rental property, doing a refi, whatever it is you need. If it's got dollars associated with it, Steve is your man. I want to come back and talk to you about the current interest rate environment, rental properties, and so forth. 888-563-1070 is Steve's number. Back with Steve after this.